The shift towards ultra-processed foods, high sugar and high bad fat diets has increased the prevalence of obesity, which has more than doubled worldwide since 1990. These dietary habits are now linked to over 30 types of chronic diseases, including cardiovascular, diabetes and cancer. Since 1990, the Global Burden of Disease Study has tracked deaths and illnesses from poor diet. In 2017, the dietary risks were responsible for an estimated 255 million disabilities, which includes 11 million deaths. The origins of structured dietary guidelines go back to 1894, and by the 1940s, the USA had a version called the Basic 7. Then in 1956, a little over 10 years after World War II, the Basic 4 Food Guide was introduced. Then the Hassle-Free Daily Food Guide in 1979. While the United States introduced the Basic 4 Milk, Meat, Fruit and Veg and Grains in 1956, Australia developed its own, similar version of the Basic 5 in the early 80s, where grain appeared as the number one source of food, along with bread and cereals. In 1992, the food pyramid that most of the Western world grew up on was introduced.
Good sign that you've misunderstood the cause of a disorder is your inability to treat or prevent it.
The food pyramid was produced not by scientists, but by the US Department of Agriculture. It was essentially sold to the highest bidder, the grain industry. The late 1980s are often identified as the decade where the obesity epidemic began to take hold in Australia. Before 1980, adult obesity rates in Australia were generally lower than 10%.
Since the 1960s, the American Heart Association has been saying saturated fat is detrimental to cardiovascular health. You need to get it out of the diet.
I mean, the manipulation of the data and the idea and the push for low fat really got us in trouble.
The low-fat diet trend took hold in Australia during the late 70s, into the 80s and throughout the 90s as it became mainstream public health advice.
I think the low-fat diet is genocide.
Saturated fat increases cardiovascular risk.
We've been told forever that fat's going to kill you.
This started because there's incontrovertible evidence that saturated fat is bad.
Over and over and over.
The more animal protein, particularly red meat you eat, the more likely you are to get sick from all kinds of different things.
You're fat because you eat too much fat.
So low fat, low fat, low fat, low fat, low fat.
The food pyramid codified our fat phobia, telling us to make carbohydrates the foundation of our food choices.
I think the food pyramid is great if you're standing on your head, because you need to turn that pyramid upside down.
You can't be serious. That would put butter and fat at the top of the... Flip the damn food pyramid!
Nutrition is stabilizing.
We got the whole story wrong. We were told to eat 6 to 11 servings of bread, rice, cereal, and pasta a day by the government in the food pyramid. It should be called the food tombstone.
This shift was driven by the introduction of the first Australian dietary guidelines in the early 1980s, which advised reducing total fat and saturated fat intake. Combine this with the food pyramid's core staples and we have an epidemic of epidemics.
Big Food has been buying off scientists to study some of their unhealthiest products and recommend them as a crucial part of a healthy diet. We have a brand new food pyramid where frosted mini wheats are healthier than grilled chicken. I swear.
Early food guides focused on cheap calories and expiry dates showing a longer shelf life and availability, not metabolic well-being. Just food for thought. And thanks for watching.